Hi, my name's Sam and I'm 17 years old and I live in the northeast of England. The condition that I live with is called CPVT1, and if I was to describe it in my own words, I'd call it an inherited condition, which makes it more likely for me to have arrhythmias, which could potentially be life-threatening. And these arrhythmias are more likely to happen in situations where there's more adrenaline involved, so this could be exercise or highly emotional situations. I was diagnosed with this condition after the sudden and unexpected death of my cousin Joe whilst he was out running, which shocked the entire family and still does to this day. After his death, through genetic testing, they found that the condition that he had, called CPVT1, was also shared by other members of our family, and they also shared this gene mutation, and that was how I was diagnosed with CPVT1. I'm currently being treated by my consultant, and every 6 months I do an exercise test on a treadmill, which basically tracks my heart rhythm as I do this exercise and checks that there aren't any abnormal rhythms which would suggest that my condition is having a bad effect on me during exercise. Luckily, so far I've not had too many bad signs when I've done these exercise tests, but my consultant is always looking out for these. I'm not currently on any medication or any form of treatment, which is a decision made by both my consultant and also myself and my family. It's a shared decision, and yeah, that's how I'm currently treated and managed. Despite the fact I have CPVT1, I like to think that I live a fairly normal life for a teenager. I travel lots with my family, and I play quite a lot of sport. I like to play cricket, tennis, football. And although I have to take a few precautions about situations which could put me at more risk, like really high levels of exercise and really emotional situations, I actually do live a pretty normal life, and I'm very lucky in that manner. There aren't too many restrictions on my life, which is good as a result of CPVT1, but the few that there are to avoid high levels of exercise, as this can increase adrenaline, and also to avoid things like caffeine, which can increase the heart rate. And when I do exercise, I've been advised to exercise with other people, or always accompanied, and to make other people around me aware of my condition, so that if something were to happen, they would be prepared. And I also know where local defibrillators are, and we are trying to make sure that everybody else knows where these defibrillators are too. So if anybody in the community were to collapse, then we'd know exactly where to find a defibrillator. My first piece of advice for people with these cardiac conditions is to make sure you've been tested and screened if there's any family history of cardiac conditions in your family. This is really important because it means that doctors and consultants can treat and manage your condition effectively, make sure that any risks are minimized. My second piece of advice would be to look for the positives. I think initially when you're diagnosed with a condition, it can be easy to look at what you can't do, but it's just as important to look at what you can do and really focus on those positives, as it can make living with the condition a lot easier. Thirdly would be look towards patient support groups if you need to. It can be a really good thing to find out that other people have the same condition as you, and it can ease the burden and make it a lot easier to live with if you can relate to somebody else. And yeah, that would be the majority of my advice.